So I'll be talking about digital turbine today. If anybody wants to speak, right, just unmute yourself, stop me, and then we can talk about it, right? So why I'm doing this is because I think most of you actually invested in digital turbine because reading my articles, right? So I thought that I should do something to address any issues that you guys have. Okay, so I hope you guys are hearing me clearly and seeing the slides right now. So anyway, without further ado, I'm Tao Investing, so I will talk about digital turbine today. Just to clarify some misunderstanding that some of you guys had, right? Ignite platform is actually a one-time revenue. It's activated on 800 million devices right now, but single tap itself is actually, it's not a one-time revenue, it is a recurring lifetime revenue. So but it's only on 150 devices. So the difference between 800 million devices and 150 million devices is that is because Ignite is the initial product that they launched or partner with the OEM and telecom companies, so telcom. So anyway, that is why it started with the product and there's now 800 devices. But single tap right now is only on, the last I checked on the website, is just 150 million devices. Okay, I think Samsung and one of the Telefonica or whatever, this telco company lah. Okay, in Europe they are actually launching single tap itself on their devices, right? All their devices will have single tap. So moving forward, these devices for single tap will increase. And do take note of this word called lifetime recurring revenue, because this means that the phone will always have single tap, regardless whether is it tagged to a telco or not. And if it becomes a second-hand product, right? Like it's being sold to a second-hand market, right? And after that, it is no longer tagged to a telco, right? The digital turbine will actually earn more revenue from these phones itself. So they're actually changing from a one-time revenue model to a lifetime recurring business model. So that's what's happening right now. So I will just talk about the negatives first. So there's a lot of people that felt that that they were quite negative about this current I would say earnings report. So the debt is definitely high, 500 over million. There are slowdown integrations. Glassdoor in the earnings report, right, transcript, right? I think bills don't actually talk about that their employees are doubling down as I mean doing extra work to help with the integration, right? And then when you read the Glassdoor, I think there's a worse off kind of rating. That means employees are getting unhappy because they're doing more work, getting the same pay. And synergies, I think as of the last two transcript, they just stay at about 10%. So this is meaning that the integration is very slow right now. And let's not forget that the growth is slowing. So the revenue growth itself is slowing, definitely due to the advertising slowdown from the macroeconomic situation. However, let's look at the positive, right? The positive are what I still found from the earnings report itself. The strategy still seem intact. There are more partners. They are still looking at more partners, more products, more advertisers. They are still having revenue growth with flat operating expenses. So remember the negatives that they are having a hard time integrating. That's why the operating expenses are flat. But having at this point in time, there's still about the 19% pro forma revenue growth, and they remains profitable. And single tap licensing is going to start in September. I mean, I think there will be some revenue in September and for the quarter, and then the ramp up will be in December quarter, meaning this ramp up revenue will only comes in 2020 February or March 2023. Yeah. And there's some app stores kind of collaboration, I think, with e-com. Nothing to shout about, but that's something that moving forward they will look at definitely, I think. And high EBITDA of about 150 million after taking out the stock-based compensation. So it's about 150 million, and the earnout will probably not happen again, right? So net profit was down this year because of the earnout payout. So earnout payout is because they acquire, and then they have to make due to certain conditions in the agreement, right? They have to pay something extra money on top of what was being extra money as per if the company is able to I would say if the company is able to reach certain revenue target. So this earnout is actually fully paid off already, and it will not be paid next year. So definitely net profit will be higher next year. Definitely. And so these are the positive that I gathered from the transcript and the earnings report. So I mean, I think it's important to go back to my thesis, right? So I think there's a moat in Digital Turbine in the sense that because of the Ignite platform itself, right? It's on 800 million devices, and on these 800 million devices, they have a first-party data on these devices, right? So basically, they sort of have the data on these users, and I personally, my opinion is that in this day and age, I think data is very important to a company, and these data are not like they are shared elsewhere, right? It's only to Digital Turbine that this data is theirs. So I think that's just very important right now. And I've actually looked through almost all the ad tech. I actually have a list of ad tech that I track generally. So I understand that most of them are launching or gathering or pushing into this CTV space, which technically Digital Turbine does have a product for this space, but it's nowhere launched in the sense, because it was discussed on Investor Day, but after that there wasn't any discussion further. So I would say that probably they are not looking deeply into this section. And then, but the most important thing right now you should think of is that the CTV space is actually everybody's competing in it, right? And then there's actually smartphone as in ecosystem in itself, right, has lesser competition in that sense. So this is actually beneficial for Digital Turbine, and then having been on 800 million devices, and then and their space is having lesser competition in that sense. And if you look at the business model, I wrote this in Seeking Alpha article. So they have so-called 3 different business model, and the main business model is right now is the on-device media, which is the legacy business. The so-called the acquisition is with the Ad Colony and Fiber is in the AdTech segment, and they're actually doing the launch of the single tap licensing product, right? So that will actually be launched in September, and then December to ramp up, right? So that is something like I would say is the third revenue channel that is looking at, and it's very interesting in the sense that you realize a single product can create a totally new revenue channel for them. And one of the negatives I didn't write about is because some people said that okay, so the single tap revenue is being hidden somewhere, right? Because it's being combined right now, that information. I would generally disagree in that sense, because single tap right now is being integrated with Ad Colony and Fiber itself, and once that is done, right, it's very hard to track, like, the the revenue that came through Ad Colony, right? How are you able to track whether is it under single tap or under Ad Colony or Fiber itself, right? So there's a lot of combined sort of like this revenue is due to a certain collaboration between different products of the company, right? So it's very hard to say that okay, this revenue is for this product itself. So that's my point of view, that I sort of disagree that they're trying to hide things itself. So I just move on with this. This could be very small, but anyway, if you see here, right, March 2022, in fact, December 2021, the revenue, they actually have a revenue recognition changes adjustment, right? So the revenue reduced to 260 million. So that's sort of like a slowdown in a sense because March 2022, the revenue reduced to 184, which is even lesser than 2Q 2022, sorry, so with 2Q 22. So but because of the changes in the revenue, right, one of the issue, they have actually solved one issue because the gross profit margin percentage actually went up, so it's about 48%. So I would say that they are just trying to address the market in this move with this revenue recognition. I actually don't really care about that, and because of this, however, because of this move, those valuers or those investors that use PS or price to sales ratio, EV ratio, price to sales ratio, revenue ratio to sort of like track the value of Digital Turbine, right, will have given them sort of like a, okay, it sort of like it becomes worse off kind of ratio. So this may have caused some people to sell as well without understanding the real changes behind this, what the reason behind these changes, which I will probably talk about later in one of the questions. However, actually the main competitors in the ad ecosystem space is AdLoving and IronSource. IronSource in itself is their Aura product itself is a direct competitor towards Ignite on platform, and they are bigger in Europe, which Digital Turbine is not really big in Europe. They are much more bigger in Latin America, US, and as well as the Asia itself. So they're sort of like the different geographics. But IronSource is actually only about 5, or if I'm not wrong, 5 or 6 partners, but Digital Turbine is 37. So in that sense, you can see where's the volume going, right? Or where are the partnership going to, right? So a bit on AdLoving. I personally don't really like AdLoving. I know their revenue is damn high. It's because of their casual games which they intend to sell right now. So AdLoving is a company that has their own casual games, and they also come up with products for other people's casual games, so that they can sell advertising, right, through reward system and stuff like that. So I don't really like this because since you have your own product, right, like your own casual games, right, you also sell, you will know the information on other people's casual game, and people could see this as a, while my competitor know what I'm doing kind of thing. So they may not want to use their ad tech system as much, right? So actually I think that's what's happening. AdLoving is actually going to sell their casual game segment, which I would say is a positive thing for them itself. So having said that, this competition, I'm not really as worried right now because of my thoughts on because of Digital Turbine's mode itself on the 800 million devices, and how they are trying to move into different directions as per these two companies. So let's go back to what is Digital Turbine. Is the main mobile growth platform for on your devices itself, right? To be honest, I don't think in the market there's any company that control your whole smartphone through various integration, various ad tech system, right? So I would say that that's one of the most interesting right now. To me, when I see this, I hardly find any competitors in that sense. And I like to reiterate, right, what's their strategy itself. They want to be on more devices. They want to have more products, and then after that, getting more media in. So this flywheel will actually make them more and more revenue. Yeah. So that's something that I hope you guys can still can understand itself. So it's not like they'll grow significantly every quarter. They will eventually get there as they launch more product, get more devices in, and then have more advertisers. So that's something that probably you guys can look at, think about as well. As for this slide, right, what I want to so there was a comment that recently I read that was people are wondering why is the single tap exponentially increasing their revenue. One of them is definitely because of the collaboration with Colony and as well as Fiber. So with Colony actually with and Single Tap, right, there are more brands coming in to use Single Tap itself. And if you think about Appreciate itself, right, it's a DSP for Single Tap. So definitely they get to sort of like keep an extra portion of their cost itself previously that wasn't there, because once they pay, because the portion that they pays the DSP, right, is lesser right now because they no longer pays DSP. They just, and because they own Appreciate itself, they used to pay them. That's why the revenue under Single Tap was definitely calculated lesser in that sense lah. So on this Single Tap path, right, because this is definitely one of the growth. Single Tap is just one of the growth in the transcript this quarter, and then so probably we should look back to what they are talking about. So if you remember, right, in this slide they only look at 15 advertisers as of that time in November, and I remember somewhere in between they actually reached about, between now and then it was, I think in March or what, they actually reached about 100 advertisers already. So definitely advertising revenue is growing itself. But having said that, I would say that because of this inflation recession issue that's ongoing globally, there's definitely some impact on ad spending, right? And I will say that let's just ignore the publisher side of the things, because I didn't hear anything about integration licensing with Facebook. Rather, I think the licensing for Single Tap is more of with the telco and the Samsung itself, right? OEM. And then one of the things you should take note is when they look at advertisers, right, they have sort of like changed. Previously, it was more of the games and stuff like that. It's more of their like ad wizards and sort of like it's for the in-app platform, right? So there are more games to discover and stuff like that. But right now they are looking more of the McDonald's, Starbucks, Walmart kind of advertisers. So it's definitely slightly different from in the past, which is this slide is more on the past, and this is I will say the future right now. And that is the end of my slides for this. So I'll look at Slido right now. So there are about 6 questions now. So question 1 is actually, why are you still bullish on apps compared to cutting loss on Syrians earlier? What will make you sell out of apps? Okay, when I sold on Syrians, right, I actually took a big loss itself. And I wouldn't want to talk about it anymore. Probably I've actually talked about it significantly previously, why I sold off. Basically, I just lost my faith in the management itself. So why am I still bullish on apps? Generally, in the sense, is because the strategy is they are still keeping to that strategy. They haven't changed their strategy, and they seem to be they still seem to be executing in that sense, because they're definitely trying to do their best to make everything works, right? So I would say that's something that I look out for. And because moving forward, there are so many they have the Single Tap growth, right? And it will probably happen somewhere in the future, right? And then the revenue ramp up. So when you think about that, right, and they are working towards that, so there's no need to say that, okay, why am I still bullish? Why should I sell now when I'm still thinking that in the future the revenue is definitely higher than the current, right? So why am I still bullish? Definitely because firstly, strategy is still there. They are still trying to execute in that sense. When you read the transcript, even though they are encountering some issues right now, but in fact, I see this more as an opportunity to buy more than to sell out right now. But obviously, because of the micro situation, that's definitely I'm using more of like options to buy in and sell in, sort of like to get more out of it. That's how I'm trying to time. That's how I'm trying to buy into DCA into digital turbine right now. Okay, so basically what will make me sell out of apps, right, is like I say, if they suddenly change their course, saying that, oh, this is no longer what they intend to do, they actually want to do other things, and then, the whole thing just collapse, right? Or you no longer find them to be moving towards what they intend to do. So that will be when I intend to sell out of apps. So for question 2, right, how does app compare to other growth and tech opportunities now, like C and Unity? I can't really answer this question. Because I don't invest in C and Unity, I know what they are. C is just, to me, C is more of an e-commerce. After all, they are the parent company of Shopee. So it's more in like, it's an e-commerce platform, right? So there are a lot of e-commerce players out there. And to me, I think competition is key. E-commerce will always be burning money somehow. And it's very hard to I think in this market right now, it's very hard to make money. So to me, I won't look at C itself. Unity, to me, Unity is more like a metaverse play, in my opinion. As in, for it to get to the exponential growth, the metaverse must be there first. So I don't think that's something that is happening soon. So I would say that apps is more like they are just trying to execute now, and eventually once things are executed, the revenue comes in. So it's something more, to me, it's something more realistic right now, in the sense that revenue comes in and they are profitable and they are making free cash flow, right? So comparatively to the other two, I will still prefer apps in that sense. But that's just my opinion. Okay, for the third question is, would you say that you were blinded by the bubble valuations when calling apps a great buy at $50? No, actually. I wouldn't say that I'm blinded by the bubble valuations. I would probably just say that on hindsight, it's easier to say that I should have stopped not buying then and then buying now, right? But when I said that it was at 50, it also has a point that it went to 70 plus, 90 plus, right? And should I have sold then? Not really. I think at 94, I just sold about 5% of my shareholdings itself. So that's how I did what I did at the point in time. But I never really, I don't think that I was blinded itself. Valuation change. I mean, share price changes. So I mean, it's always better to buy it now. If I still have the cash, I would definitely buy everything now. But having said that, on hindsight, everything is better. So I just wouldn't say that I'm blinded. I just think that market moves and the valuation will come back itself to apps if you invest in a great company. So on the next questions, any concerns about digital turbine changing its revenue recognition method and why they need to change at this current market juncture? To me, because there's no concern on them changing their revenue recognition method, because to me, if you understand the product, you have conviction, I think the numbers is still improving in that sense, but it just doesn't look as big anymore. But whenever I saw the past revenue information, right, you will see a lower gross profit. But when you see the revenue recognition now, you'll see a higher gross profit. So there's always a trade-off of what is good and which one is good, which one is better. There's no way of saying that, right? There's no way of determining which one is better. It's just how much you know about the company and moving forward what you will do. Will its revenue keep increasing? If they continue to execute well, probably yes. And why they need to change at this market juncture itself? I think to be honest, at that point in time, I would say that they make this change because it's too hard to actually measure individual product, or how they intend to measure the product when they are actually trying to integrate single tab into almost every of their acquisition itself, right? So in that's why I would have preferred them to make the changes as of now, as in no longer needing to track the different revenue from different product, and focus on just making more and more revenue itself lah. So why they did this change probably is just lesser work itself, I think, to maintain the revenue recognition, to understand the different revenue stream that it has. So for the next question, understand Digital Turbine is trying to integrate 3 acquisitions into one. What will be the impact of the integration if it's further delay? The impact will be the synergies will continue to stay at 10%, 20% low. The synergies will be improving at a lower rate, and this will cause investor to freak out, and maybe the sell down will continue. But to be honest, I think it's very hard to integrate 3 acquisitions into one. But from what I read, I think they are still trying their best to do it, along with improving more, having more products, having more partners. So to me, everything is still moving forward, and to me that's good enough. And lastly, the question is app also providing app store for their customer? No, they are not providing app stores, but they actually has a partnership with Branco, BRANCO, which is a sort of like a third party gateway. And then probably in future, what they intend to do is to get involved in that area as well, of maybe if one of their customers is having a game, and then instead of using the Google gateway or the Apple gateway, right, they could try to sort of like through the collaboration with Branco, get their customers to use their gateway as well, and get some sort of fee involved lah.